Okay, so let's go with today's topics, which are zone data collector and election process, and we will try to know what is zone data collector and why do we need an election process for that. Okay, so um, also we will be trying to do trying to make the web interface available, or redundancy. We're going to be configuring the redundancy for the web interface. Suppose when we open on our Windows 7 uh, our web interface, which shows us which applications have been published. So okay. Sorry, there was some also chat going on there. Okay, let's round robin. What I'm trying to say here is, if Windows 7, when we open the web interface and we see all the published applications, suppose, and that web interface, if you remember, we deployed that web interface only on Citrix MEM01, or the first Citrix server. And suppose that Citrix servers for some reason is not available, then we lose, or all the clients lose that ability to access their applications through web interface. And that's why we need to make both Citrix servers, we need to configure both servers to make this web interface available for the clients. Oh, you can as well. Okay. Anyway, so let's go ahead. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat as well. Some of the management related tasks that I was just trying to see and answer. So, what first topic is all about zone data collector, session host, session controller. There are new terms now. I mean, actually, we did go through those terms, but now we're gonna go a little in depth on that, and let's go ahead and try to know more about that. First of all, we would want to know what is the session host and what is a session controller role. We also call it a worker role for session host. The only task of the session only servers or workers is to host user sessions. So when users are connecting in hundreds or in thousands in big organizations, so the session host role holder Citrix server is actually receiving all those connections. If it is just a session controller role holder, or only session controller role is installed, or it is configured with only session controller role, then it will not be receiving user sessions. So after this, we're going to be seeing and going back and seeing our Citrix servers, that how we have configured it, and how to configure it back to what we want, according to whatever the plan is. But So session host servers, they host user sessions, and then session controller servers, the only task, the default role for XenApp server is a controller role. But what does it do? The controller server is responsible for farm management tasks. So especially it's related to all the management tasks. So default role, when we installed both XenApp servers, they were configured for session controller role. And so you would say, hey, if we are configured for session controller role and its just task is to do some management related tasks, if it was not session host, and so how were the user sessions connecting to the XenApp server when we published those applications and tried to test with any of the two users account, administrator or user 3 in my case, that I tried to connect through those users to those applications, and I was successful in that. So this means that the user sessions were being connected, and our both Citrix servers were actually receiving the user session, so they must be having the role of session host or worker role. So the answer is yes. We did go for the default setting of session controller, but that default setting also hosts the session host role as well. So there are two ways we can configure a XenApp server. How? One, if we can configure it either only for session host, or we can configure the servers for the second option is containing both these options, which we are on right now, session controller plus session host. So both of our servers are configured for session controller and session host. But if you want to, if you have a large environment and you have quite a lot of servers, so suppose there are 20,000 users and you have like 10 Citrix servers, XenApp servers, you would want to separate these roles, like two of them or three of them would be just session controller and session host, while the rest of them, or seven, the other servers, can only be session host, just dedicated to receive user sessions and let them open all the published applications. So what default configuration our XenApp servers are right now, and we're gonna go and check as well, is session controller plus session host. That's why we were able to receive all the all the applications. We were able to publish all the applications, and users were able to connect to all the applications. So we are having both our XenApp servers right now on session controller as well as session host. But we're going to change that just to understand the concept perfectly, and how to change that, and why are we changing that, and what's the significance if we have just XenApp server dedicated to only session host, and what's the pros and cons of just having a session role and having both session and controller together on a XenApp server, right? So session controller role is again responsible for form management. Session host role is responsible for hosting user sessions. So both our servers are right now configured for session controller as well as session host roles, right? Further, if we go session controller, a form requires at least one server to act as a controller, which can host the XML, which is the management service, and zone data collector. So what does zone data collector does? And if we lose a session controller, then no one will be able to connect to the published apps. Well, we're gonna try to test that too. So if the XenApp server, the one that is the zone data collector as well, if we lose that, so we lose the management capability of our form, which means the user sessions which are connecting to our form, if we lose the XenApp server that is holding the zone data collector role, we lose that, we lose the management, right? We're gonna test it now. But we're trying to know first. If you go to session host, a worker cannot perform the role of a data collector, nor can it trigger elections. So if it is just dedicated for session host or the worker role, which is just tasked to do host user sessions, just responsible for user sessions, then it has nothing to do with the management tasks, right? And management task is who's going to be the data collector And if we lose for some reason our data collector, then uh, yeah, if we use the data collector, then we have to trigger, then the elections are triggered, and we're going to see how the elections are triggered, and we're going to try to monitor that too through performance monitor. There's a comment in XML, about XML in the chat. Yeah, XML service, we're going to be going for that in detail as well, and it is for in later sessions we're going to be testing some of the features around that too. But XML service is the management service, so it's the management communication between the servers through the XML service. This is one liner for now, but we're going to be trying to test some features around this. That's why XML will be coming again. Right now it's all about zone data collector roles and the elections related to that. Then we're going to be trying to do some talk about features relating to XML service as well, mainly for management. But if you want secure management, you can put it to encryption as well. But no, it's not just encryption. There's that second chat in comment that is it for encryption. So it is for management purpose, but the main thing is that we're going to be discussing it in detail. It's for management between the two hosts, the talking they are doing between the two hosts, the data sharing they are doing. So XML service is also responsible for that. But if you want it to be secure, if you want SSL and certificates to be involved, encryption is still another option that you can use with XML. And since you're asking a little more about let me just give you a definition and go ahead for that, because we're talking about a different topic right now. Excuse me. Yeah, I will just get you to the in the break, and we can just try to. Yep, XML, the data will be integrated. That is why. Okay. Ali, you're really after XML, right? So we will be discussing that. But right now, you should understand that it is for management purpose. But today's topic is not XML. That's why XML in future. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, but yeah, your curiosity is really, this is good, and this is how every student should have curiosity for. Hey, what is this? What is that? And we should discuss it in detail when the class time is dedicated for that. It will be dedicated, but in the break I will just explain you a lot more about this. But we're gonna lose all the concentration for this, and there's a long lab coming ahead. Okay, so thank you for your patience, and thank you. Let's go ahead for this comparison between session host and session controller, and I need to do some lab work here as well. So a worker cannot perform the role of a data collector, nor can it trigger elections. Now we understand that, of course, session host is just dedicated for application, user sessions, which users are connecting through session host. And our default configuration is having both roles, session controller and session host. So then there might be times when you need to determine the role of a particular ZenApp server in the form. So you would want to know if our server is right now just a session host, or is it right now a session controller. uh, let's just go ahead, and I have another slide that may have a picture for that too. So going ahead, okay, there are two ways to know if it's a session host or a session controller. One of them is to go to the registry path here, and to check if for the dword named worker role, a value of 0 indicates that the server is a controller, and a value of 1 indicates that the server is a worker. But this is, yeah, if you want to go in depth, like if you go to this path in registry of the XenApp server, but easier way first, let's go check the easier way, then we go for there as well. um, the easier way is this, where if you have App Center open, you could just go for the Citrix servers, and then if in the information tab you see session host mode as disabled means what? Indicates that this server is a controller. Enabled means what? Indicates that this server is a worker. So this will be the easier way to do that, to know if it is a session, if it's what role is it containing right now. But let's go to our environment and try to check that from there as well. Well, this is directly coming from the environment which we have right now. So excuse me. So this is Citrix 1. If it is disabled, it's a controller. So as we are, indicates that this server is a controller, and if it is enabled, it's a worker. It's a worker B, or oh, okay, I saw that movie. Yeah, B movie. There are so many B movies. Okay, anyway, so session host. So both our XenApp servers are right now in the controller mode. But if we go for, I'm on a XenApp server, so if I go to check registry setting, because sometimes it happens that your XenApp application App Center is not working for some reason, and you have got to know which one was hosting, was having the role of session host, and which one was having the controller. So I'm just going to drag this side to have that path. So for the record of the video, we should have that path as well, showing to us. Minimize some of, yeah, the path is this. So HKey local machine. So I'm just gonna go back to my server and reg edit, or reg ADT32 could also be used. Then we go for HKey local machine here, and then software, and then wow, 6432, which is this 6432, and then excuse me, and then we go for okay, I should not have had that breakfast. So then we go for node. Okay, that's the one key. WoW 6432 node, then Citrix, and then we go for IMA within Citrix, which is responsible for the communication between the servers. And then there is runtime. Then there is runtime here, and the dword value. So for the dword named worker role, is there a worker role here? There it is. If the dword value is 0, indicates that it is a controller, so the value is 0 here. You know what, let me just put it there in the slide, with and all the slides I owe you. Excuse me. And see, that's how I actually show you the pictures, and I'm doing everything live, so whatever we tend to miss, we can just put it there as well. Okay, and the main thing is this path that we should know. So I'm just gonna put it in the slide as well. I still have to send all those slides, sorry guys. I always forget, so after the class or in the break I'll just try to send those as well. So I'm just going for, yeah, this so I'm just going to put it there, the picture, so you could easily just go there instead of following the path. Okay. So this is the picture for that. Let's go ahead and try to know more about this. So what happens is that right now we are on both our ZenApp servers are on management or the session controller role, but we need to see if the you know availability, if we lose the availability of any one of the ZenApp servers, then does the election really trigger, and can we monitor that election, and can we see who is right now the ZDC or the zone data collector. Some information about those things. We already have a zone created in our environment, don't we? So if I go to Citrix spam and put it back to so this is our zone. Although we created Toronto servers here for the zone, if you have configured that, you could actually try to delete that, and or just transfer the Citrix server, whichever one Citrix server we put inside the Toronto servers. You could just put it on, just drag that server and move it to the default zone right now, right? So, okay, guys, just a second. Yes. Okay. Yeah. So what I was showing, if anyone was following me, and I don't know who's looking at his or her environment right now, but if you see the default zone here, there is a default preference. And it shows here election preference here, and then there is a most preferred here, Citrix mem2. So we're going to be talking about that election preference as well, because both of our ZenApp servers are session controllers and host, but we're going to be changing that as well by making one of the ZenApp servers as session host only, instead of session host and session controller. For now, let's go back to that and try to know. Zones exist in ZenApp usually to represent different geographic locations. So if we had ZenApp servers in Toronto and in London, so there will be a zone for Toronto servers and one ZDC or zone data collector, and then there is the next set of servers in London. So there will be for those servers one ZDC or zone data collector, just like here they say that it's in London and Manchester. Each zone will have a data collector, each zone. So suppose there are 5 ZenApp servers in Manchester and 5 ZenApp servers in London. You will have one zone data collector for each zone. Each server in the zone connects to the zone data collector of its own zone with its load information, right? So if one server in London out of 5 servers, or each server connects to the ZDC and has the information of how many users have connected, how many applications are open right now, how many users are idle, how many users have disconnected, how many applications per user are open. So all this kind of information, which is called load information. So each server in a zone connects to the zone data collector and then gives it all the information of what that ZenApp server is doing, or what kind of load it has right now. So zone data collector, this means, has all the information for all the ZenApp servers in the zone. Each ZenApp server having how much load, this information is available in with zone data collector. And if there are 2 zones, then the zone data collector of London zone will be transferring all the information to the zone data collector of Manchester zone. So, what does that mean? That means that zone data collectors of both London and Manchester will have all the load information of all the XenApp servers of London and Manchester. So Manchester ZDC will know everything, all the information about the XenApp servers of London, and London ZDC will have all the information of all the XenApp servers of Manchester, right? So this means all the servers know what the environment, what kind of load the environment is carrying right now. But what is ZDC doing? The ZDC is responsible for connecting users to, or not to the least busy server. Anyone can tell me what's the significance of this? Okay, well, you know what? It's a very easy question. But can anyone tell me still, what do you mean by, after seeing all this, knowing all this, what what is the main purpose, or is it a big benefit for us that okay, so there's a comment for in the chat that it's for disaster recovery as well. Disaster recovery. So yes, so once the ZDC has all the load information of all the XenApp servers in London and Manchester, then whatever newer sessions, host sessions or user sessions are connecting or requesting a connection to the XenApp servers, the ZDC will be redirecting all the newer connection according to the information of load information it has. It's going to redirect all the newer connection to the least busy server. So this means that ZDC is responsible for effectively using the XenApp environment and always redirecting the traffic to the least busy server. Suppose there was a lot of load information on XenApp server 1, 2, and 3 in London, but ZDC knew that any new traffic should not be sent to the XenApp server 1, 2, and 3 in London. But after 2 hours, now the London XenApp server 1, 2, and 3 are having less than half the load of what they were having 2 hours before. So ZDC has the latest information. Oh, these servers are not having enough load now. So which is good. So these will be the good candidates for redirecting newer traffic to those XenApp server 1, 2, 3 on London servers, right? So whatever load information, current or latest load information ZDC has, it will redirect the newer traffic to those servers. But if we lose the ZDC, now this is a disaster, right? And there has to be okay. I was just muted by the message said you have been muted by the host. Anyway, so come on, you don't like my sound or what? Okay, so the ZDC is responsible for connecting users to the least busy. So if we lose ZDC, at once the election happens, because there has to be a ZDC in a zone, right? So, well, this is just one zone, and we saw the diagram before as well. So there's that client device. It's connecting through web interface, which we configured already. Then there's just one zone. Within one zone, there are XenApp servers. There's a worker group that we created last class for the policies, the worker group 1 and worker group 2, but they are just in one zone or physical location. And there is that one data collector for this zone that is collecting all the information from these servers, XenApp servers, for the load information, and then redirecting the traffic to the least busy XenApp server, right? So and they have the license server and the database server, which we know already. So again, the ZDC is responsible for connecting users to the least busy server. So if we go ahead, ZDC elections, XenApp servers that hold the session controller role can become the ZDC for their zone. Okay. So first of all, session host servers, which are just responsible for connecting the user sessions. So sessions host servers, XenApp servers, cannot take part in the ZDC elections, right? Or they cannot become a ZDC at all. So you have to have the role of session controller on the XenApp server to take part in the ZDC election and become one. If you know you're overwhelmingly voted. Wow, what happened to my English? I think I did not do my breakfast today. Well, anyway, so each time the IMA service is started or stopped on a session controller, and election will take place for the new ZDC. So IMA service is started, or if we lose the ZDC altogether or lose the connectivity, or it goes down, crashes, which means that in all those cases, IMA service is not available. So IMA service is responsible for the communication between the XenApp servers, right? So each time IMA service is started or stopped, or session controller and election will take place for the new ZDC. That's exactly what we're about to do. But it's all about unavailability that will trigger the elections. The election on is based on the preference. Okay, bad English here. And the preference for the ZDC selection among the XenApp servers. Hey, who will be the ZDC among the 5 servers in London zone? So it could be that XenApp server which has the which is most updated in with respect to hotfixes. Maybe we missed latest hotfix on any of the other servers. Election preference. So I did show already the election preference when we go to zones inside. Okay, let me just close all that. So when you go to zones and we go to default zone, and we have election preference, which is most preferred and default preference, we can actually change that. So since our XenApp servers are both on session controller plus session host mode, so they can both take part in the ZDC right now, right? So, but if I right click the default, suppose I personally know that, okay, I just added a latest hotfix to Citrix XenApp 01, and I would want this to be most preferred, and Citrix XenApp 02 for now is just, not that up to date, and health wise also overall, XenApp 01 is performing much better than XenApp 02, so I would go for right click the default preference, and I would put it to most preferred. So if you have lots of XenApp servers, and if they have the controller role, you can go for most preferred, preferred, and default preference. Not preferred is also available, it's up to you. But if I go for most preference there, and I put this guy, hey, I would like you to be preferred, and so whenever there's whoever is ZDC, this it would be according to the election preference. If that is the case, if there's the hotfixes are, if both servers are up to date, then it would be this preference or the host ID, which is then internally determined. Okay, whichever server should be gone if these two things are not there. If both servers are most preferred, or both remaining servers are preferred only, then the host ID, which is the ID, they always just they would just connect right away. They would know the host ID each other internally. It will be happening. This is something we cannot manually do. So now we see that environment which we see. We saw that diagram before as well. So zone 1, zone 2, one of those servers have to be data collectors, and there's a WAN link but this data collector has all information about all these, and it will send all the information which it has to this data collector, and it will also have information of its ZenApp servers, and it will send that information to that data collector. So both ZDCs will have up-to-date information of the current ZenApp environment. In case we lose one data collector, uh, then there will be an election between these five remaining ZenApp servers, and of course they have to be having the session controller role for that. So let's go ahead and check what else. So this is the IMA service that I took a screenshot of, and well, today what we're going to do is actually just stop the service to check if the election happens or not. But this is still coming. Right now, I'm just showing all those areas where we're going to be visiting. And in Citrix Independent Management Architecture IMA service, which is responsible for communication between the ZenApp servers, very critical service, has to be started all the time, and we cannot afford it to be stopped or having a hiccup for some reason. Okay, so yes, the fault tolerance for each zone, we would normally want at least two session controllers, and preferably three. So the management ones, the session controllers, at least two should be there. We have two, but we're gonna make it one actually now. And it's a bit long process, but the thing is that when we go through the process, it's gonna be really clear for us. So we already have two session controllers, and for next class, I intend to have a third ZenApp server as well, just to have a bigger environment to play a bit more, if I can, if my computer allows. So if the current ZDC is unavailable, then at least we will have a backup as well. So if we have preferably three session controllers, not session hosts, but session controllers, and they're confusing names, right? So session host, session controller. Session host is hosting all the sessions. Session controller is actually controlling or doing the management work, including the zone data collector elections. In our form, we have two servers, but only one session controller. Okay, no, we have both session controllers. We're going to go to this configuration now. We're gonna have one session controller and one session host. That's what I'm about to do now. So we will remove ZenApp 2 and add it back into the form with the controller role. So let me just make it. We already have both of them in the controller role. Let's put it to session host role, just to see, and then we're gonna do one more experiment on that. But so this is one thing that we want to do, that we're going to be trying to know if we can actually put one of our servers only on a dedicated session host role or not, and how to do that. One thing is this. Second thing is, if you want to quickly know from command line who is the ZDC or the zone data collector. We have just one zone, and one of the servers has to be data collector. But this is the command. So this is the command qform. If you have your form right now in front of you, the qform command shows the current status. Qform is the command, and then qform for space / zone will tell you for this zone who is the data collector. And if we have like 5 or 6 servers here, it would be also giving some indication. So the star sign or asterisk sign indicates which server are we connected to right now, and D indicates which server is the data collector, not domain controller here, right? Data collector. So if I go back to my Citrix mem server and open the command prompt, there it is already showing me. But if I put the CLS there and cd backslash to just clear the screen, so it will be. And if I put it to, if I put it to magnifying glass, now you have better view of the command prompt, at least also in the video. So it's just qform slash zone. If we have a big form, if we have a very big XenApp form having lots of XenApp servers, this information really becomes critical. Even now, we wanted to know at least who's the data collector. In my case, it is Citrix mem01. And then if we go for just qform, then it is showing the D sign, which means that in my case mem01 is the data collector among the two session controllers and app servers, and I'm star sign only means that I'm connected to 01 right now, right? So let's go ahead and try to make one of the so also we already know that both our session host is disabled, so we're gonna enable this mode on one of them. So suppose in an environment, in a bigger environment, we would want to dedicate one server just for receiving sessions and not taking part in the ZDC elections or doing any other internal management tasks, as well as the session host tasks, which might take a lot of processing and memory. So I'm just going to go to server 2 right now and minimize all the servers. Oh, let me just check if I stopped. Okay, whoa, IMA services stopped. Yikes. Well, I did stop it for checking only. So if IMA service is now starting, I would want to make sure that that my servers are discovering. So if I close this and open the XenApp Center again, yep, both servers are there. Okay, so here if I go to form and refresh, or just tell him to quickly discover, configure and run discovery, run, uncheck sign on, next, yeah, both are there, discovered. Okay, cool. So IMA services working. So Citrix mem02, how to make it a dedicatedly session host instead of session host plus session controller. For that I have to go to the XenApp server role manager. Some tasks are time consuming, but they are mucho importante. Okay, that's where they are very important. And in your bigger environment, you would want to you will be given that task to do this, perform this. So what's going on here is add or remove roles or review setup information. Where I went was Citrix XenApp server role manager, and then went to I would want to go to configure and edit configuration. Well, actually I wanted to remove the role and I clicked edit configuration instead. So let me just see if that is loading, because if that is loading and I load this as well, yep. So okay, what I wanted was here as well, but I could go from there as well, although it's gonna give me some more extra options. So right now let's go for removing this. So I'm just gonna remove this and apply. Okay, finish. So what are we doing right now? We have um, we have both servers as session controllers. We want server 2 to be a session host only and not session host plus controller, right? So this is the procedure. You remove the server and you close it, and well, they say it's recommended to restart, but I went without restart as well, but they say that best practice is just give it a restart, although they did not ask for a restart as well, right? So when it comes back and it's going to be fast, I'm going to just put it to the session host instead of session host plus controller. Well, you're going to see those two options only. There's just two options, right? So you're going to see that two options, which we selected by default when we were initially creating our environment. So okay, one day it's coming. I think I should grab one cup of tea. Well, if it was 2012, Windows 2012, it would have been much faster. But we're going to be doing the initial at least sessions of 2012 with the new ZenApp as well. This is just a bonus material I wanted to add. Um, wow, it's taking too much time. Uh, well, I think it was a bad idea to do that. But I have to restart after configuring that as well. Um, so while the second server is loading, we can go ahead and try to see if it has updated. Although it will update as the IMA service is down for this server, should be detected there as well. Okay, it's loaded. Second server is loaded. So I'm just gonna go back now. Citrix domain, Citrix / administrator. So now we're gonna just see that yeah, well, right now mem1 is only there. Mem2, it has yet still not detected that mem2 was off. So once Citrix mem02 is started, I would want to go for, actually it's going to pop up automatically that server role manager. It always do that when we restart, right? So we're gonna just wait for it to pop up. There it is. So now it's saying configure this server, so let's just configure that. Excuse me. When you click configure, this is the remote desktop licensing mode, which we did not configure, and it's 94 days left. Sometimes what happens is, since that option popped up for remote desktop, what happens is that if you do not take care of the Microsoft side of licenses, and you say that, oh, we have enough time for Citrix licensing, and if the remote desktop licensing finishes, then of course you don't have a ZenApp server, that particular ZenApp server which just ran out of the Windows side remote desktop session licensing. So you will have to take care of both Citrix side of licensing and remote desktop side of Windows side of licensing. If that runs out, this XenApp server is useless. Okay, so I'm just gonna not create a new form. I'm just gonna go for add the server to an existing form. Okay, it's going ahead now. We just wanted to see that session. Okay, so did we install independent server, or did we install actually a full-fledged server? I think we installed the Express edition, right? So we'll go next, and if it was Express edition, and so will it be local, or will it? Okay, there it is. So the SQL server is installed on Citrix mem01, of course, when we were creating the form, and that's the only SQL. That's the only time we are going to install one SQL server, and the any other extra server has to be connected to that SQL server. So I'm just gonna select Citrix mem. Next. Now it's asking for those credentials of our domain admin to connect to the database, because we selected the Windows authentication. Press OK. Test connection. Okay. Next, and this is the shadowing which we're later going to be testing as well with the user sessions. This is all about that you're actually watching the user session while the user is using that session. It's like you're standing behind on the shoulder behind the shoulder of that user and just peeking on his or her session. So right now it is on allow. If we prohibit, of course, then we cannot just come back easily. So it's a one-way thing. So keep it on allow, but we haven't enabled anything. We're gonna come back and enable those things when we are really going in depth with the shadowing as well as other services. So next, and there it is. So what we when we were adding initially our environment, so there was enable controller and session host modes. Also, so what this is the default what we had, and then there is that enable session host mode only. And if we go for the information, it says that okay, it's just hovering. This setting optimizes the server so it cannot serve as a data collector, cannot serve as an XML broker, and does not participate in IML actions, right? While this reduces network traffic and overhead for the server, it is not recommended to select this option unless this zone already includes multiple controllers. There should be at least minimum two ZDCs, so the election could take place. I'm just showing that if we need to have enable the session host, this is the way to enable that. If I go ahead and apply now, it's going to make it just a dedicated session host server, which will mean that it's not going to take in any type of management related tasks. And then we're going to try to check one more thing. The theory says that if you lose the only management server, all the user sessions will be disconnected. Well, it makes sense, right? So now we have one session host and one session controller, and let's just log in from a user session. Let's log in from a user, and right now both Citrix XenApp servers are at least session host, and one of them is session controller, right? One, in my case, mem1 is both session host and session controller. Mem2 now is just a session host. So if I click finish here and close, and open the ZenApp server role manager again. So this first server is also doing management and session host. Second now is only session host. So this means that for this zone, for election purpose, there's only one ZDC, and if we lose the only one, we lose the management of the form, right? Um, so let's just start the app center now. Not ask for a reboot. Trying to discover now. Also, I wanted to show you that that disabled option, that it is that option disabled or not for. Okay, it's trying to discover, and it's kind of taking time. Although I did not restart it, I'm supposed to. But when I come back to this one, that server is still available, right? So if I go and check the status of this now, refresh, it did not updated the session host should be enabled now here for Citrix 2, right? So if I close this, not good. Okay, close the first one. App Center. Second one is also discovering. First one is also discovering. Let me check the services here. Yeah, we should not. So if I go, okay, there is that service called command remoting. Well, last time also we discovered it that it was not starting for some reason, but when we restarted once the full host, it did restart. Wow, guys, don't try this at home. No, you should try. It's a troubleshooting that teaches us the most. Okay, both have critical service not started. Oh, IMA service in 2 is not started as well. That's why it's not able to find any of the, or the second IMA server, ZenApp server through IMA. But okay, so it says on server 1 that remoting service cannot be started. Any other service stopped? Nope, all of the services are okay. And IMA is also started here, so there should be no problem discovering. It discovered MEM01, so I'm just gonna run the discovery again because IMA service is now started. Okay, let's see. Ooh, so now I am the victim. Yeah, this was the case with many of the students here as well, right? Many of you. So I'm just gonna put it to restart, which is the best practice, that if you make a change on form level, restart. I just wanted to avoid that in order to check it, but I don't think it's gonna work without. So Citrix commands remoting. So this was not working before as well, the Citrix commands reporting, but for some reason I have to make it work. Oh, okay. So Lawrence, you also have what? Oh, you're trying with me right now, and you're. So it's not okay. This service is not working, or what? What is not working? It's not discovering. No, still discovery from client is not working. From client, okay, but on both the servers it is working. And yeah, I have to connect to your session. So let's find some time and I'll connect to your team viewer. But on both the servers, Lawrence, on both the servers are fine. Okay, cool. Oh, okay. So just on the client. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, we'll try to get a time when we are both available, and then you could give me the team viewer so we could try to. And you have Windows 7, right, Lawrence? Or Windows 8 or 10? Break. Oh, okay. 7 Enterprise. Yeah, sure. Okay. So it's restarting now, and okay. Wow. I was just sitting behind and okay. Citrix domain / administrator. Now please show me that status of you're just Citrix Mem2, Mister. You're just only session host and not session controller now. So now the Citrix Server Role Manager will be um, opening. So that would tell me at least that the role was installed properly. Yeah, it was. Okay. And okay, let's go PowerShell way. So in PowerShell, if I go for get service, that's just for extra knowledge, right? Now, if you were not doing that or you knew that but you forgot, so get service just gets us all the services. But if we want to check only Citrix related services, so if I go for, see, you can see that there's that Citrix written in front of them. So can we go get service Citrix star? Now only Citrix related services are showing here. So get dash service in space Citrix star. So encrypted, well, virtual, CSE engine, health monitoring, WMI, ZenApp commands, XTE. So some of the services are still showing, but some services names are not starting with Citrix. So that would be, especially I would be wanting to see the IMA service, and it would be, so I'm just showing here if we wanted to see it remotely as well. um, Printer management Citrix, and okay, later I'm just gonna come up with all those services, but right now sometimes the thing is in front of you and you cannot see that. So I'm just gonna go the easy way and go for that IMA service, which is, if I double click that, its name is just IMA service. That's why it was not coming in Citrix names. So if I just go for get service IMA star, well, there should be just one. Oh, there are two. So, and both are Citrix. So they are both running. So IMA service is running for the Citrix because it says there, and so Citrix IMA star would just take me to that service which I really want to know if it is running or not, right? Um, so okay, it's working. So this means my environment should be working fine. So if I go for App Center now, so why I showed you the PowerShell version, because remotely you can check. Suppose you have 5 or 10 Citrix forms. Ouch. Okay, suppose you have 5 or 10 Citrix servers, and you want to check IMA service of both of them, all of them. So you would go for this PowerShell and go for, you know. Okay, so both servers are there, and you can see now that session host is enabled here. This means it is no longer a session worker or session controller, sorry. And then there is session host disabled here for mem1, which is the ZDC now, has to be. And mem2 is now only going to be hosting as the user sessions and will have nothing to do with the management side of management tasks. So if I try to now connect, I'm going to Windows 7 now, and I would want to go for the web interface, because web interface was installed by us only from mem01, so that's why it's just connecting to mem01. That's we're going to change today as well, and we're going to put some common name there, and it would just redirect the service to Citrix mem01 or 2 for this web interface. That is called round robin. But anyway, let's go and check this one first. And Citrix domain.local. Yep, it's working fine. And can I queue form here as well? I'm just checking if, because I have that remote interface or the discovery management console of Citrix installed here. Can the queueform command work here as well? Nope. We have to make sure that that the set of commands are loaded there on the Windows 7. But if I go back to my Citrix mem01 and try the queueform command, that would just tell me, of course, there is only first server that is supposed to be the management server. So if I make the IMA service unavailable here, and this server being only ZDC data collector, so effectively if I get this server disconnected, so data collector server gets disconnected, and while the session host is still there, this would be, oh, why is it, oh, now it's recording. Okay. So session host is still there, and this, would it let me open anything? For now, maybe it's not discovered, but I've just closed that IMA service, or I could just disable an error occurred while making the requested connection. Although my web interface is also there in mem01. Later when we make it round robin, so if we are connected to Citrix mem02 to check the user session connectivity, then we would check if the ZDC unavailability gets the whole environment down. But anyway, if our only session controller goes down, definitely we lose the whole form, like connectivity to the form. But that's why I would later install another third XenApp server, or fourth if my laptop allows that. Then we're going to play on a bigger level, but right now I'm just gonna start this service again, just to show that yes, we did lose the connectivity, although we had the session host role available. But session controller, if it's the only one, and it's the ZDC as well, if we lose that, we lose the form. But we can check it again by, if we lose the connectivity with mem2 right now, then still do we lose that session? So now the session controller is back, right? So if I F5 that, and well, it's not supposed to just detect right away, and well, logging off is better always. Then in that case, administrator, I need to check it if it is working fine now, so I could put something else there, check something else. Okay, so yeah, easy one would be notepad, or oh, an error occurred while making the requested connection. So right now, if the session host, it's trying to connect only to Citrix mem01, because that's where it is the web interface is also there as well. So this means if we right now it should be connecting, right, but it's not. Maybe it's not updated yet, or maybe this has not come to life after. Yeah, it did not. So let me just try to discover that my applications were not working when I started playing with the turning it off and on. Oh yeah, I did not discover that second one. Let me just try to discover from the first server as well. Okay, we are having a problemo. Although it is saying that it is showing that there, it's not discovering the server 2 as a controller. The server 2 is still a session host server, right? As a controller, it's going to not discover that there. So only server 1 is disabled right now, session host. So what I wanted to do here was just to make sure my application environment is still on, and somehow it's not on and I don't want this to happen. So I'm just gonna quickly restart this Windows 7 and check it to get it up and running, because now the situation is that one is just a session host, one is session host plus controller. My application environment should not have been affected by that. So I'm just gonna refresh that. Maybe it does not get that update because I was turning off the IMA service too often. So there something got broken between the sessions already there. So I'm just going to restart so it could refresh all the services on the client side, and my applications should be working fine right now. Let me just check all the services here as well. Yeah, all the services are okay. Start it. Yeah, on 2 all services are okay. On 1 I'm just doing troubleshooting side by side, so whenever you're stuck with something here, I'm continuously having a problem with the remoting, which should not be the case. I really have to resolve this. But anyway, our Citrix client side was still working, so I'm just gonna log in now. So what we see now is that one is a session host, and second is a controller. But now we need to see the elections as well. So once I try to just get the applications running, then we're gonna try with the election thing, and try to know why the second how is it automated that the elections will happen, and if the first server is not available, the second one will become the ZDC or not. We're gonna do that too. So I'm just gonna quickly get the environment check here with the new configuration I did on the form side, and trying to connect now. Administrator. The resource you request is no longer available from the servers, or you are no longer permitted to access it. Oh, permitted? Really? Okay. So it was just a notepad? Because, oh yeah, it was just a notepad. Why was I just clicking notepad? Okay, anyway. So, sorry guys. Yes, we are, the environment is okay, or maybe after restart it just happened, but yeah, the notepad still is not working, so it was the notepad itself, because this administrator did not have permission for the notepad. Okay, so what we are trying to do here now is that we're going to be doing the election. We're going to be triggering an event that's going to, we're going to be doing an event that's going to trigger an election, and ZDC should be automatically elected with the remaining one. So for that, what we did till now is this. So finally I'm using the, so we have 2 servers here, and we went for session host and session controller, and now we have, this is the current situation now where it is just a session host. And so now we're going to make it again session controller, and then we're going to uh, take down one of the servers. And first we're going to try to know uh, which one is ZDC. If suppose this one uh, is this is ZDC, then we're supposed to simply take it down and see if this automatically gets elected as ZDC, and also did the election happen. So we will open the performance monitor and add a counter that will show us the values to prove that election happened, right? So these are the tasks that I'm going to be tracking now, what has been done, what has not been done. So first will be to first task will be to make it, put it back to session controller, because our applications are working fine now. And at least we know now that session host, we can dedicate one server to session host, while they, if they can be both on the default settings of session controller plus host, it could be a huge burden for management related tasks, as well as all the clients that are connecting, users are connecting in hundreds or thousands. So it's not necessary, compulsory to have both roles installed for a ZenApp server. That would only consume a lot of memory and processing and network bandwidth, and it will also give bad performance to the users. So dedicate ZenApp servers for session host only, where you have huge environments, and but you must have at least minimum two session controllers, and preferably you should have three. With the session controller role also deployed there. So now I'm just going to go back and have the session controller role back. Then we're going to be checking who's the ZDC. Then we're going to take down that ZDC, and we're going to track from performance monitor counters that if the election took place, and if the other one automatically became the ZDC, right? Okay, hey, cool. Okay, so I'm just going back now quickly, and the second server is now second server should be showing me, yeah, second server is session host to enable, which means it's just a session host, and first server is disabled. So I'm just gonna go back quickly and edit configuration here. It's this also says remove, but when you go for edit configuration, it also says remove as well. So that's why you need to think. Okay, it takes a little time for that, and this is because of 2008, and because also I think I've given it a memory of 2 gigs. Okay, it's already there, but 4 gigs. Okay. Oh, that's why it appeared this much time only. Otherwise it would have taken more time. So remove this again. Now I'm not gonna restart because it did not ask for a restart, right, last time. But I hope everything goes fine even after doing that without a restart. Finish. Okay, configure again. If I close this now and then open it again, does it ask me to reboot? If it doesn't ask me, then I'm just going to start adding it again or configure it again, and just change its role to the session controller. Go. Okay, so let's go. It did not ask for a reboot, so I'm just gonna click configure here. So that saves a lot of time. So add this over to an existing form and then go for the local database. I mean, not the local. This database is on actually the first server. I'm on the second server right now. Already the name is there, so I'm just going to put the credentials to connect to my database. Administrator. Test connection should be okay. Next, and yeah, shadowing not for now. And the default option which we selected when we were creating our environment the first time, so it should still be session host but also enable the session controller as well. So next, and apply. All right, so now it should be showing the session host as disabled, which is just an indication that it is a session controller, but it is still a session host as well. So once this is done, I'm just going to try to check my environment again overall, from the services to okay. So while it is discovering, in PowerShell I already checked all the services, so just the IMA service, if it is working, it is. So IMA services is stopped right now as this configuration is going on. So let me check, minimize this PowerShell. Okay, it's finished. I'll close the App Center, PowerShell on, up arrow, get dash service space IMA star, any service started with IMA, give me the status of that. IMA services is still stopped, not good. So first I'm just going to ask the XenApp server role manager, hey, do you want me to reboot? You know what, it's Windows based, so go. It did not ask for a reboot, and if I go there and enable or check again, it's still stopped. There is, from PowerShell, can we start the service or stop the service from PowerShell? Yes, we can. So start dash start ser, press tab, autocomplete, start dash service, and whatever service starts from IMA star, start all those. So it warning, waiting for service, IMA service to finish starting. Yep, so it is starting that service now. Guys, it's always very important that you know how to do everything in PowerShell. So I'm trying to do some day-to-day tasks, basic tasks in PowerShell, so we start getting used to seeing this interface more and more. Yes, the service is started. Well, is it? So up arrow and the previous command, get service. Yes, now both services are running. Good. Well, what about all the other Citrix services? So get service space Citrix star. So all other Citrix related services are okay, as well as some of the services were, if I go for get service again, it is also showing some services starting from CTX, and they are also Citrix services. So we can actually modify the command or add a pipe to it, and then add the CTX as well, related services, or we can also have longer command for that to check different types of names based services. But for now I'm just going for that, just to have it familiarity with this interface. So now I'm just going to open the XenApp Center and expecting it to be discovering. Yeah, there's no error. So both servers are okay. The first server is showing session was disabled. Second should be showing now as disabled, and it is. Okay, so let's trigger that election. Okay, this is still showing enabled for session to host on 1 because it did not refresh or update it. Okay, close the App Center, open it again. Now it should discover the new settings and no errors here. So even before, when it was giving errors that it was not able to discover Citrix mem02, it was not able to discover while mem02 was still showing here. Why? Because the controller role was removed from 2 and it was just a session host. So that's why, it is the management part is gone. So that's why it was showing that I cannot find it, but it was still there, right? So this is just showing. Now we are up to sweet low. So let's get back to the slide and check how we can go for triggering an election. So let's try to check first who's the ZDC here. Is it my Citrix mem2? If it says D here in the command prompt, this means it is the ZDC. But if I go and check back in my farm, yeah, mem1 is ZDC. So Q farm, enter, and yeah, mem1 is D, the ZDC. So after triggering the election process, I am expecting that Citrix mem2 should be the ZDC because Citrix mem1 will not be available, right? So D should be showing here instead of there, and we're going to also track if the election did happen. In fact, we're going to configure that now. The performance monitors, that's going to tell us, the counters of those performance monitors will tell us that if election happened or not. So I'm just going to go to server Citrix mem2, which I'm expecting to become the ZDC. So I'm just going to go for administrative tools and going to performance monitor here. When we click performance monitor, already there are some monitors for processors. It says here processor information for Citrix mem2. I'm not interested in this, so I'm just gonna cancel this here by clicking across. Then I'm going to add by putting the plus there, and since Citrix application is already installed in that Citrix mem server, so obviously there should be some, if there were some monitoring counters added by the Citrix company for this software, those Citrix related counters for monitoring different aspects of the Citrix servers will be there, right? So if I keep going up here for local computer, and if I go to C, so there are Citrix related counters there, and CPU, if you want to check if the CPU related management utilization, how CPU is utilizing, then IMA networking, how the IMA is working and the servers are communicating with each other now, or licensing. But what we're interested in, this is the old name, the counter. When it comes to counter, they did not bother to change the name of the counter, but meter frame server was the older name. Presentation server. So I'm just going to still go here to the presentation server, expand that, and then I'm just going to keep going down. What I'm interested to know is this zone elections and zone election was triggered or not. So I'm just gonna press Control on my keyboard and select this one as well and press add. Zone election 1 can also be added, but what information we want now is here. We can have any other counter added, but when we are testing that aspect of the Citrix form, or this particular server. So right now selecting 2, click add. Right, so this will tell us if the elections were triggered, election happened. So there are ways to know that as well. I mean, there's a different type of view as well. Histogram bar is there, and report in numbers is there. It is also already showing 1 here. It was supposed to be showing 0, but if you are doing that lab with me, if you're seeing that right now, if you're following with me, it should be 0. If election never happened in this environment, it should be 0. I had to, of course, practice that before starting the class. So yes, I did trigger an election already. That's why it's showing that election did happen. That's why it's showing 1. In my case now it should be showing 2, right? So if the election happened again, so now we already know that the D in the command is showing that this is the ZDC by giving the qfarm command. So mem01 is the ZDC, and let's make it unavailable. So mem02 should automatically be showing the D sign here, which means now this is the ZDC. This is controlling the environment, right? How do we trigger that? As per the slide, if I go back to the slide here, it says that here, so each time the IMA service is started or stopped on a session controller, and an election will take place for the ZDC. Okay, let's test that. But let's go for and check others as well. Okay, I already put that election results there on the slide as well, and we were able to change the preferred and most preferred, but this is more useful when you have more than 2 Citrix servers. So you could go for default preference as well, first this most preferred, then this, and then this. Anyway, yeah, this is the plan what we're doing right now. I just wrote that there. Anyway, let's go back to this and try to trigger the election. So I'm just gonna go to Citrix mem01. Let's go with the PowerShell way. Otherwise, what I'm trying to do here is this Citrix independent management service, right click and stop. I would just do that, but hey, you know, PowerShell is the future, so try to get more involved in this PowerShell interface and try to get used to it. So I want to stop a service. So first of all, I want to get the status of the service. So get dash service, anything starting with IMA, because I know the service name starts with IMA. So it's giving me 2 services, IMA service running mode, and I'm on Citrix mem01 because I want that service to be down so the election could trigger on, and ZDC should be, instead of mem1 it should be mem2. So I'm just going to try to stop the service now by putting the command here, commandlet here, stop dash ser, then press tab to autocomplete that. So stop service. Now which service? I don't want to stop the second service. There are 2 services starting with IMA, although both are IMA, but I just want particularly to be IMA service to be stopped. So I'm not going to put the IMA star. Instead, I'm just going to go for IMA service pool as the name is showing here, and press enter, and it says, yeah, it has dependencies or what? IMA service cannot find any service with the service name IM. Oh, wrong spelling. IMS IMA service. Enter. Okay, now it says cannot stop service because it has dependent services. Exactly, that's what I was expecting the first time, that it has dependent service. If I go for minus force, not force, it stopped. Okay, so yeah, if you really don't care about the dependencies, you can just go for minus force switch, right? option here. So if I want to check the status of this service now, definitely I would have to go to get service, IMA star. Now IMA service is stopped. Hey, if that is stopped, I should run to the Citrix mem2 and check this counter. It also does not, give at once the readings. So Citrix service on back on 1, just to check on the GUI as well. If I refresh that without touching it, yes, it is stopped. If I go back to service, one election was triggered already. This I'm expecting number 2 here, so 2 second election should be here, but okay, cool, 2 is showing here. So second election happened already. This means that the remaining session controller is elected, should be elected. What's the proof? So I'm just gonna go for command prompt, and the command is qform. Either we go just qform, it's gonna show, or we go for qform/zone. And now the data collector is Citrix mem2, or just go for qform and it should show the D against the mem2, which it is showing, and we are also connected. The star shows this, so we are connected to 2 as well, because 1 is totally gone. But elections did happen, and we were able to monitor that too, and it was automatic process. That ZDC, it was not waiting for anything, it was just okay. Oops, I did not turn off the I did not turn off that. I'm sure I turned on the Google. Oh, actually I turned it on. Yikes. Should have done the breakfast. Okay. So this is the election happened automatically. It is working perfectly as a ZDC. They are both session hosts as well as session controllers. If I go back to Citrix mem01, I would now just want to start this. What I want to trace now is, if I start this service, would the election happen the third time, and would it select the older ZDC again? Would it select that, the older server which was ZDC, will it select it again? So let's check that out as well. I'm just going to go for starting that service. So first get the status, it is stopped, then up arrow, because I have that command already written there. Instead of stop, I'm just gonna turn it to start, and start IMA service again. Oh, that was the wrong one, still doing the same steps. Okay, I don't think I have to start with force, so I'm just gonna change the ART here. And yeah, it's starting now. It is starting the dependencies of that service as well as this service. But when you want to stop and if that service has dependencies which are started, you have to go to those dependencies and stop them as well. Maybe those dependencies are also the dependencies of some other crucial service. So if you stop the dependencies of this service or any particular service, you should make sure that those dependencies are not also related to some other critical service, that because you will stop that critical service as well, which you may not have intended to stop. So okay, so it is started, is it? I'll just go to get service. Yeah, it's running now. Okay, let's go back. So I have enabled the first server again. So it's supposed to be communicating with the first server. So hey, there you go. See this? Zone elections happened the third time. As soon as the first server came back, hey, I was the king. Come on, mem2, you're the king when I was gone. You didn't wait for a second, so I'm back. And there's the election. But what's the result of the election? So elections happened as soon as the ZDC came back, but who is, hey, what do you know? So ZDC, as soon as it came back, an election automatically happened, and it automatically became the ZDC again. Yay! Long live the king. Oh, okay. Yeah. So this is the story for the ZDC, the data collector. What do they do? The zone data collection, and session host and session collector. We talked a lot about this. We played with the all the settings, and now let's have a break, and then we come back for an equally very important lab, which is making the web interface redundant or highly available. Because if we lose web interface or we lose the first server, web interface will be lost, so the user connectivity will be lost. There should be another web interface to which the user should be connecting, right? So let's see if it really works. And there is that 10-15 minute break. So 10-minute break. 10 minute, 15 minute. Well, there are no suggestions, so 10-minute break. Okay. Okay, so we're back, and we saw all this, the ZDC, ZDC election and stuff, all the terminology and how it works. Let's go for that second task. So I'm just going back to my slide. Oh yeah, I was still, trying to make some more steps, but actually that was right few seconds before the class started, so I'm gonna complete this anyway. Okay, how to switch between session host and worker host. Yeah, this is the doc, but I already showed that there in the video. So this is now the second topic is web interface redundancy. So and the round robin process. This is a Windows based process. Well, on the Windows it is already configured in the DNS, and it is all about offering redundancy or having two servers offering the same service. And it also does a load balancing. So first of all, web interface redundancy, what? So you can see with this picture here, Citrix mem02, when I put that address, so let me just do that actually, so this should be much clearer, right? So it's Citrix 7, the Windows 7 Windows Enterprise Edition. I am just okay, let me close that and open that again. I'm on Windows 7 and trying to connect to Citrix 01. So I'm able to connect. Why? Because we have installed that web interface and configured it. So if I want to change it to 2, because we're directly connecting to the server, I mean, we're trying to mention the name of the server which has a web interface instead of some load balancer offering the service. So Citrix mem02, if I put that there, enter, well, why anyone knows why the web interface is not opening there? So can you mention in the chat that why do you think that Citrix mem01 is offering the web interface and 2 is not offering the web interface? So anyone can put it in the chat that this is the reason it is not offering, and this is the reason, or what is the reason that one is offering this interface and the second is not offering this interface. So the chat reply is one reply is there, role admin. Yeah, so we did not install what role? Yeah, so then there is another chat, you know, web interface is installed just on server mem01. Exactly. You're right. Excuse me. So, yes, there is web interface installed only on mem01. It is not installed on mem02. Okay, let's do that. So, what's the plan here? If I go back to this, I don't think we need. Well, we can still use that, right? Web interface is here, right? Here. WI or web interface. Let's just try the whole thing. Interface is here, and when we are installing the ZenApp server role web interface, we did install, and it is not here, but we're going to be installing it here. But the thing is that across your environment, what are you telling the users here? Oh, if you don't find the web interface working, or it is giving an error in your browser, what are you gonna say to them? That Okay, instead of Citrix mem01 link, that whole link that starts like this. So you cannot tell to the non-technical users that like, go there and change it. Although it's not that big deal, change this, and then you will still have that web interface working. Yeah, because the application, whatever application you're publishing on first server, you know that it is available on the second server automatically. If you just change the web interface from 1 to 2, it should still be showing the same application, right? With all those user permissions as well, and whatever changes we made while publishing the application. But you cannot just tell excuse me, that user or the lots of non-technical user that go and change that, but it's still a manual process if you still are able to say that. So we're gonna try to put some common name there. This is the basic kind of load balancer called round robin, which is by default enabled in the DNS. This is a DNS based load balancer. It's freely available, of course, and it is round robin is enabled by default inside DNS. Let me just double check if I resumed. Yep. So is default by default inside DNS. And then what it does is that it provides load balancing. So if user 1 connects to first server, then user 2 connects to second server, to second, user 3 connects to third, and so on, user 4 to second server, and so on, right? So it's like one first connection here, second to the second server, third connection to the first, fourth, so one by one, right? So this is round robin, and it is enabled by default in the Windows environment in the DNS. So let me just show you where it is. So if I go there, and we use round robin for many of the basic load balancing abilities for many of the Windows roles as well. So if I go to my domain controller here and go to DNS here on our Citrix environment domain controller, and if we go and just right click properties and go to advanced, so there's that round robin already enabled in DNS. If anyone wants to use this feature, it's already there. So where I went to Citrix DC and went to properties and went to advanced, and there it is. Round robin is enabled, right? So What else? So round robin is enabled. All we need to do is configure it, but also, yeah, we saw that here Citrix MEM02 does not have that feature. So of course we need to first install that web interface there. And how do we do that? So if we go to Citrix MEM01 and minimize that and close this, so we can open that web interface. If we click start XenApp server role manager, and then we can know if web interface is installed or not, right? It takes a lot of time. Well, hey, is it 2 gigs or 4 gigs? Okay, it's there. Oh, it's 2 gigs for Citrix MEM01. Seriously? Okay, anyway. So, yes, the web interface is installed here. And I would just want to go to Citrix MEM02 and try to install the web interface there as well on Citrix 02. So how do I do that? Let's go to make sure on Citrix MEM02 that this, go to the settings, go to the DVD, and make sure you have the DVD for the Citrix ISO file, XenApp server ISO file. So if this is mounted to the DVD, then we can trigger that Citrix role manager, XenApp role manager, and if the path is there for the DVD, we can just go ahead and install the web interface. The other thing is that if you really want this service to be redundant, the configuration has to be exactly the same. So you can see here that web interface is not present. So now we can add or remove the roles, server roles here. So we can go here and simply try to add the web interface. I did click it. Yeah. So while it opens and it's there already, and this role also we can try to edit. So in management consoles we have the Citrix web interface role here. So I'm just gonna click that as well. This is where what we were trying to configure, but if I had selected from here web interface edit configuration, it would still show the same window. So I have two windows open right now, so I'm just gonna close one. Okay, what I want to check here is that all the settings should be the same for both the web interfaces, both the servers web interface. So I could go and check if I had changed anything here. So my form 8080, the XML port is changed, and I just sent you the, so guys, XML port, I sent you that question Q&A in the WordPress in your Google group, but XML service. Okay, let me show you here in the slide. There was that diagram that was having that name. Oh, I think I was going too fast. There. So, oh, sorry, it was not there. Not here. Oh, I thought it was that diagram. But anyways, the XML service, yeah, this one should still show some part of that. XML service is working here between the web interface of the client and the web interface of the server. So when the client opens that browser and opens the Citrix through Citrix URL, goes and sees those applications. So XML broker tries to make the connection between the client and the web interface server, and all the communication is going on is through a web interface server and the data collector. Sorry. So the XML broker is the service that is trying to make the communication between the web interface and the data collector. So from the client, the communication is going to the data collector. The XML broker is a service that is responsible for that. So what did we select for XML broker? So it was port 80. I do remember that I had to put it 8080 because there was an error. So this is the change that I might need to put there. Then I added both servers there while I was offering web interface only on this server. But definitely now I'm gonna add both the servers there. So this is one change I did. Did I do any advanced change? No, this is the same. Guys, if any of the options are changed, this will be a bit of a problem. So authentication methods, explicit, and website appearance. Nah, I don't think this. Full graphs, log on. This is the default. And secure access we did not configure, I think. So resource types, dual mode. Okay, I need to remember that. Maybe it's not on dual mode. What else? Client deployment. Did I make any change here? Well, no. We were just talking about it, but we did not make any change here. Client side proxy. Default user browser. Yeah, only default setting. Session settings, any change here? Nope. I'm sure there were so many settings, we did not do any settings there yet. Workspace control, it should be available when the Windows is frozen and you have disconnectivity from the client side. It should just keep your session still. That's workspace control. Service maintenance, no, we did not do anything with that. So okay. Main change was on server forms, so and authentication methods. The authentication was okay, and the resource types, I think. Yeah. So I'm just gonna go to second one. Get to the add roles. So already we have selected the add roles. So let me just go for add roles. I think we selected all Platinum Edition when we were installing, right? So I'm just selecting the Platinum Edition. I accept the agreement. Next, there it is, the web interface. Let's go ahead and do next. XML service IAS integration. No, not now. We're gonna be talking more about these things in coming classes as we go a bit more advanced. Default components are there. Web interface core. So next. And it will install all these. So last time it went well as well. Hopefully it will go well here as well. Okay, so I clicked install here, and it should be installing this quickly. While this is installing, there is one more thing. Okay, so there is a comment in the chat. Oh, sorry, that was old one. See, I think I had a very good brunch. Too good. So yeah, while the web interface is installing on mem2, if I go back to mem1, you saw that there is ZenApp websites here, and then there is that services sites. So if I right click here and create site and go through the wizard, this is all about that. If I go to the Windows 7 client now and go a little down and go to Citrix receiver, that receiver would want to know which server the services are, for the client connectivity services are there, which server is offering that. So if I just go through the default options for the Citrix XenApp services sites, it's going to it is already picking up whatever application has been deployed. but this is to set up connectivity or to give better URL or redirection, that which server that the client should be getting the status of applications from. So this client on the Windows 7, it will get all the status updates uh, in much detailed form if we configure this services sites. So what I've done till now, if I right click this, create site, and just go with the defaults. So there's another comment in the chat. Is it possible instead of web URL for each server, we tell user one URL which cover all servers? So yes, this is exactly what round robin we're gonna use round robin for. Exactly, Ali. That's a good question. That why don't we give one single URL to that? So that's why round robin we will be using that, because we want to give one URL to all the users, and later hopefully when we go for Netscaler, that's a professional load balancer, then we're going to be putting that load balancing into real action. But right now, exactly as you said, there should be one URL instead of two URLs. Or suppose if there were 5 XenApp servers, so that's not good, that users would have to check, okay, which one is working right now. So that hence the round robin basic free load balancing ability we're going to be using now. Okay, as far as this is concerned, the creating site thing, configure this site now. So what I'm doing is services site. So the Citrix client, Citrix receiver should get updates, better updates, detailed updates of what applications have been published or what's happening on the server side. So if I go to next, it's also asking me about some basic form configuration. Oh, was it just farm one, or was it Citrix farm? Okay, let me just check on the second one, which is also not configured, of course. Why am I even doing that? So, oh, it's gonna be asking for the same thing. Okay. I think it was form one. We may have just left it like that, or we may have. Oh, I have to see the older videos for that, because now it's not gonna let me. Oh, or if I just open again web interface. Okay, hey, that was not a rocket science. So server forms, and then there's my form. Okay, thank you, Lawrence. Yeah, my form. And as soon as you said that, I was there. But thank you for that update. So it was my form, port 8080, and HTTP, not HTTPS. So I'm just gonna minimize that, and it was my form and both the servers. So Citrix mem01, enter again, Citrix mem02. Yeah, so there's a comment in the chat that mine is old McDonald farm. So this is our farm, but yours is old McDonald. Hey, it's Sunday. Come on. So yeah, you're right. Okay, if I just keep it like that and try to go ahead. Oh, it let me. But you know what? Well, 80 is okay for this. Let's just keep it that way because it has no problem as well. And go next, and we are always putting the dual mode, so offline online should also both be working fine. Next, finish. So Citrix services, the XenApp services sites is enabled on port 80 for both servers, and I don't know, it's going to be showing me quickly anything, but okay, so now you see log on to refresh applications. There's more information in Citrix receiver. It already got the update quickly. Before configuring that services site, it was not giving that option, right? So if we just log on to refresh applications, then Citrix domain. Oops, I'm not typing. Citrix domain / administrator. Click log on, and there you go. The remote server failed to execute the application. Please contact your administrator for further details. Yeah, whatever. Okay, receiver could not contact the server. Please check your network connection. Hey, okay, I'll give you some time. So, well, while we were installing on the second server, which we still need to configure, this is it. Just go for default options and next, finish. And the Citrix receiver on the client side will be able to give you more information about the published applications and current status of any services. But right now somehow it's not communicating. Well, this is not planned. I just added it right now, so I'll just leave it at that for now and configure it later. I'm on VMnet 14, right? VMnet 14. Okay, so well, we're gonna try to resolve that later. Right now I'm just trying to make it redundant, so we could have one URL to access both web interface for both of the XenApp servers. So I'm just on the second server now and trying to configure the web interface. I've already seen the settings of the web interface on the first server, so I'm just I have clicked configure here, and let's go ahead. I think I should put down that performance monitoring, and okay, there it is, and it all still opened 2 times, so I'm just gonna close one. And now I'm just gonna try to configure the website's create site, and there it is. So yeah, everything is okay, default. I'm just not going to touch anything else. Next. At web interface, yes, I want to see that at web interface, no ADFS, no access gateway for now. Third party using Kerberos, nope. At web server, no. So I'm just gonna go for web interface, next, and go next again. Okay, let's configure it now. My farm, add Citrix mem01, control A, control C, mem01, press OK, enter, control V and 2 instead of 1, press OK. Does it let me go? Oh, it does. But the ports, I'm just gonna put it 8080 because this is a setting on the first one. Oh, my fan. Hey, it is my farm. Come on. Really? Okay, let me put it to magnifying glass. Ta-da! Oh, okay. Let me ta-da again. If I go here and press the spacebar, it is R. Oh. From this distance, yeah, I understand that it was not clear. But thanks for thank you for pointing that out and being vigilant on that. So that's good. Okay, my farm and port was 80. No, so Lawrence, port was 80 for the Citrix XenApp services site. Yes, but port was 8080. Well, we can just go back and check, right? So Citrix mem01 here and here. Websites, if we click here, XML port 8080, right? Yeah, we can add any unused port here. Yes, I changed it to 8080, which is like if 80 is already being used by IAS on this server, so that's why it was saying that change it. So I just changed it to 8070. I can put 8090. I can put, right? So when I installed services sites and I tried to go ahead with this configuration of port 80 for this second site for the Citrix receiver, it actually did not put any objection, so I was okay. So that's why I put. So Citrix websites is port 8080. I am double checking, and thank you for pointing that out again, which is good. Since this is settings, I'm just gonna go with port 8080 next, and it was explicit. Next, allow any domains, yes. Next, and minimal or full. Although we have put it on full, so we're just gonna keep it full here as well. Next, dual mode if offline or online. Offline with the offline plugin, and online of course. So streamed application for offline plugin, and hosted applications for online plugin. Next, and I think it's good for the basic configuration. But if I go a little ahead and deeper and make sure that everything is exactly the same, so yes, okay, and I think all the other things are also okay. Dual mode was one thing I changed because by default it's always online. I don't change anything else, but maybe there was something I was talking about here on workspace control. I'm sure I did not change anything, but let's go and compare. Yep, all the options are selected. Okay, I think it's pretty much the same. I'm just going on the server 2. I'm just gonna do the defaults for the services sites as well. So XML, so my Citrix receiver should get information from not only the first one but the second one as well for all the current status of the published applications. So I'm just gonna go quickly and create the second site as well. We should have done it on that day when we were creating the first site, but at that time we were talking too much about that. And so this is actually much easier, and now that we have a better understanding of the Citrix environment, so I'm just creating this next, and then we're just gonna quickly configure it. But the port 80 was being used there for Citrix XenApp services, so I'm gonna just use the same setting here, so we could put that all in load balancing later, which is a very small task to do. Hopefully it works. Okay, so and there's a long topic of printing coming. And since we don't have printers, we're gonna be working with the make-believe printers. It's all about making available the icons and services of printer, not actually to send the print, right? So oh, it's taking much longer. Well, and this server has 4 GB. I hope there's no error in the background thing here. That's it. I think it's gonna take its time. Oh, but what I am really suffering from is this continuous error of this service not starting. Oops. What? I am a service? Seriously? I think I started it already. I'll just refresh it. Well, that was a shocker. And remoting, command remoting. This is not starting. If I go and double click that and see the dependencies. Oh, no dependencies, seriously. Okay. Anyway, let's check out. Okay, that's configured the second one for the Citrix receiver. And again, my form, and I think it's already in the Citrix 901. Hey, can I add just comma and this 02 and not? maybe by colon, but anyway, let's just skip it. Enter again, paste 2, okay, and here I use port 80, so I'm just gonna keep it like that. So guys, first there was that confusion of my fam by farmers. Thank you, farmers. And now Ali is also seeing it, my fam, while its R is there. For God's sake. Okay, I'm gonna do the exact same thing because it's in the chat now. If I press spacebar here, there's the R. So okay, that's funny. Hey, at least now it's no longer dry class. So this is so confusing. You can see that, right? Really, it's like a very long M. I mean, it's a new alphabet now discovered. Or if we remove its R, but if we put it back, it's still a very long M. So anyway, that was fun. So it is still FARM, but next time, oh, thank you, Ali. So next time I will put some other name, right? Like my Dodge car. Yeah, there's no R and M together. Yeah, that's okay. So okay, so let's go ahead and next dual mode, next, and finish. Okay, so this second service was just, while we were there, we deployed that. Let's go ahead and do that round robin thing and try to check if everything's working fine. And for that, let me double check my notes as well, that was I going fine all this time. Just a sec. Yeah, so although it's configuring round robin is the most easiest task. So in web interface we have to, so these are the steps now, which I'm just going to put there. In fact, I should put it in this. Let me just quickly go there. So add WI on Citrix mem01. Yeah, it's okay, done. What is round robin? Round robin, I just explained that it's a basic DNS load balancer. Steps. So steps is that we install WI on that. Then we create 2 A records on DNS with the name of Citrix web, if we just put that, and IP addresses of both XenApp servers. So, and then go to WI or web interface and change the URL for the web interface to Citrix web dot, I think it's Citrix domain dot local. So, and then check, so when the first user connects, the user should be connected to the first server, and the second user connects, that user should be connected to the second server. Well, that's what we expect, but good luck. So I'm just gonna create 2 A records or host A records on DNS forward lookup zone for Citrix web. The main thing about creating round robin is that both the A records will be exactly the same name, but their IP addresses will be the IP addresses of the XenApp servers. So that's how round robin works, right? So let's go for this and Citrix DC. So I'm already on DNS. Okay, I'll just close that. Start, administrative tools, and DNS here. And okay, so let's go ahead with the forward lookup zone, go to Citrix domain, and we already can see that there is Citrix mem01 with this static IP and mem02 with this static IP, right? So now I'm gonna create a new host A record, Citrix web. As you can see that it's going to automatically populate the domain name with that. And what's the IP address we're tracking here? So it's mem01, this one, right? So it's 192.168.100. Oh, sorry, 200. In my case, it's 200. If you have put 100, just go for with your IP scheme, right? So it's 202, and I don't have a reverse lookup zone created, so I think it's going to say this. Yeah, that there is no reverse lookup zone. Why are you creating a pointer record? Anyway, I'll just uncheck that. So now when we see there's a record created with Citrix web, and the IP address is this. Now let's go for again a second A record, which is for this machine, 200.3. So it's Citrix web, again exact same name. Just check this, Citrix web, right? And then the IP address of the second, 192.168. This is like pointing to those actual A records of the server, but round robin detects that okay, there's two same names with two separate IP addresses, so this means they want round robin to be working for these records. Okay, 200.3 for the second one, add host, done. Okay, that's how it looks like. And the full URL would be Citrix web dot Citrix domain dot local, right? Or FQDN, right? So we have done this change. I would want to make sure that name resolution is working perfectly. So I'm just gonna go for ipconfig flush DNS, and then I configure register DNS just to refresh the whole setting. And I'm gonna go to the second server. We'll do that ipconfig flush DNS register DNS. Third server, there should be a remote PowerShell command I should come up with. That ipconfig flush DNS register DNS run on all 4 or 5 machines. And definitely where we're gonna be testing this, the client. Whoa, okay. I just want to see the result quicker, right? So taking more time now. Register DNS. Okay, so I'm just gonna go to that web interface. Oh, I still have to open. Okay, resuming. So let's just see how it is opening. If I close this browser and go with the opening of the browser, and I try to put that Citrix web link there, and there it is. So yep, it's opening fine. And if I check administrator, excuse me. So yep, it's working, opening fine as well. If I go to the second Windows 7 and open the browser there, make sure, yeah. And maybe I have used this link to connect already. Yeah, Citrix 1, but since we created that DNS round robin there, so Citrix web, I'm just gonna press enter now, and it connects as well. And if I want to log in from user 03, yeah, I connected to access the services as well, but for some reason And this is the area. Remote Desktop Services Manager is where we can check the connections if there are more users connected to this from Remote Desktop Services Manager, which is already open in my Windows Administrative Tools. This is the Remote Desktop Services Manager that I'm using right now to check the sessions that are open on this server and on this server. Excuse me. So okay, so Citrix Web is opening fine. It's opening fine with the Citrix Web as we configured back in this DNS server, these two. But I'll try to do that with network load balancing as well, and it'll be another Windows feature. Okay guys, so try to send your screenshots, and if anyone interested in the online SCCM class, let us know. Okay, bye.